Hey, everybody. Welcome back once again to the Retro Wrestling Review USWA Podcast, coming to you as always from the Retro Wrestling Archives here in Gadsden, Alabama. I'm your host, Gene Jackson, along with producer Smokey behind the scenes, making it happen. And please help me welcome my co-host. First up, he's one half of the Bemis Hangmen. It's Josh Briley of P3 Radio. Josh, how are we doing this weekend?
Man, I'm pretty tired right now, but I'm gonna power through it, Gino. Like I'm ready to go, man. I'm looking forward to this one because this was a action-filled episode.
Yeah, man, this may have been the most action-filled episode we've had yet here. So to get on into it, we got to bring on one more co-host. He's the owner, founder, and president of stspod.club, and he's Jonesboro, Arkansas's current favorite resident. Spoiler alert, it's Brian Tramel. What's up, BT?
Hey, how's everything going? Brother Gene, Brother Josh. Let me try. See, Get Bug. I'm still trying to bring that back. And this week we are sponsored by Faded Buttonfly 501 jeans as worn by Jerry the King Lawler. So there you go.
All right. Well, we're going to just get right into it this week, guys. We're not going to talk about anything on the back end. Maybe we'll plug some things and whatnot. Ooh. But as Josh said, this was an action-packed show. And so Dave Brown and Michael St. John are trying to get this thing kicked off. And, of course, I guess this is their unofficial name now, the Texas Bunch. I guess that's what they've been labeled as, it feels like anyway. So, they come out. Tom Prichard's upset. Eric Embry's upset. You can tell by that picture if you're watching the video. Eric Embry's very upset right there. So I don't usually like to go straight into clips, but, man, we need to take a look at this clip. It's a little bit of Prichard and Embry pitching a fit, and then we get to see some highlights of what they're so mad about, that being the Unified World Title match between Jerry the King Lawler taking on Terry Funk with special referee Jackie Fargo. Let's check it out.
Hold on!
You guys are not scheduled.
I don't care if we're scheduled or not, because injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And the injustice that took place in Memphis, Tennessee last week is an injustice to not only Texas and Terry Funk, but it's an injustice to professional wrestling. When you got somebody like Jackie Fargo in the ring as an official, then you know something is definitely wrong.
He turned his head, man, while Lawler pile drived him. Hey, I could beat Frankenstein if Tom Prichard was refereeing.
You know that.
You got the tape. Show the tape.
You know that.
We planned on showing the tape a little bit later.
We're from Texas, and we control this place. Now you show the tape. You show the tape.
If we've got the tape ready, we might as well show it and get them out of here. Is the tape ready?
The Unified World Heavyweight Champion, Terry Funk, is calling for a competent referee, in his words. And the fabulous Jackie Fargo, the official referee of the match.
Make it. Ah, there he's got it. And Fargo kicks his arm off. Whoa, Funk. He's probably got something in his hand. Nails Lawler with it. Lawler out flat on his back. Funk down for the cover. Count of one. Fargo stops the count. The crowd saying, hey, Funk, use something. He pulled something out of his tights. Fargo's after him now.
On his feet, setting Lawler up, gonna try again and pile driving. Funk just pushes Fargo out of the way after Fargo telling him you can't pile drive him. Funk fires Lawler in. Lawler picks Funk up. Big pile driver in the center of the ring. 1, 2, 3. That's it. Fargo looking.
Now, you guys shouldn't have even been there anyway, but I saw the Texas bunch headed out of there.
Man, all right, you shut up, man. The biggest rip-off. He had his shoulders down for about 1 second, and he counts 3. But Jackie Fargo, Tojo knows you, man, and you ain't nothing but a lying, cheating, I can't say it on TV, but you're like every other Tennessee piece of garbage, man. They stole it.
Did you see the injustice? Is a pile driver not illegal in Tennessee or anywhere in the Mid-South USWA, or is it not?
How many times did Funk use it?
Yeah, he did use it once.
Whew. Josh is having some technical difficulties, having to restart his computer. He'll be back with us momentarily, but damn, BT, Piper's pissed. You should say. The more mad he is, the more he yells, the more Prichard sounds like Piper. So he's really sounding like it this week. Embry's just beside himself. And let's just say this: I love Jackie Fargo as much as any old time fan can and would. God, he's a terrible referee.
Yeah, it's all about a gimmick, bringing him in. It looked like a really fun match, by the way. And, Funk and Lawler love to work at each other. That was the first ever. We talked about this before. Funk gets against Lawler at Mid-South Coliseum early on, was one of the first ever, at the time, 4-star matches. They had 4-star matches all the way up to 4 stars. But Fargo's hair always kills me. It's like, every time I see him as a special referee, it takes me like a couple of seconds to say, oh, yeah, that's Jackie Fargo. They got some good shots in on Fargo, but then everyone sold for Fargo, which I loved it. And Funk's bump, that bump that Funk took where he put it was his leg or his arm through the ropes. He did, Punk has did that a couple of times. But I just absolutely loved it. Loved the whole. Fargo had some of the, Fargo worker, whatever you want to say, wrestler. He was just a brawler, just punch, and sell. But his punches are so good. Young guys, if you are a wrestler and you're watching this, go back and watch. Punches from Fargo and Lawler are both good. So.
And Lawler has said that he learned his punch from watching Jackie Fargo. And, of course, Eddie Gilbert learned his good punch from watching Lawler. So, and not that he didn't watch Fargo too, but, man, it set the tone right there at the beginning where Prichard's up on the apron and Jackie comes through and hits him with one of them great punches, knocks him right off the apron. You're like, all right, ain't going to be no bullshit tonight. Jackie set the tone right there. But the fastest count in history. I don't know if a heel ref has ever made
I said I thought he counted to 2 this time. It was so quick. It's like, well, I said, was that 3? I didn't go back. I just got a laugh out of it because we give him so much hell for counting 4. I said, he counted 2 this time.
Yeah, I wondered about that because I'm telling you, there was not 3 seconds there for there to be enough time for him to slap the mat 3 times for that win. But the crowd popped for it, and then of course the wild brawl afterwards. And like you said, the thing that kind of makes it, or at least help makes this match we're going to be bringing up this week, is the fact everybody was selling for Jackie Fargo. So Josh, we just saw the clip of the Texas bunch hot about how things played out. Then we saw the clip, or at least an edited clip of the Lawler and Funk match with Jackie Fargo as a referee, and of course the chaos afterwards. What are your thoughts on all that?
I thought it was interesting seeing how Jackie was just like laying shit in, and they're really trying to make him not just be the legend that comes and stands on the outside while the regulars take care of business. Like, I thought that was cool. They were actually incorporating him and stuff. But man, whenever you start, attacking Jackie Fargo and all that, there's instant heat. And especially in this time, whenever the memories were still fresh. So, I like this whole thing and the intensity of it. And the way that they totally screwed the Texas bunch, on that 1, 2, 3. I mean, everything about it, it was like the reverse screw job where the fans were actually proud that it was a definite screw job. So yeah, I like this whole thing, man. And it kind of ignites the fire in a way for the Texas bunch, in terms of they have this renewed set of viciousness.
Yeah, they've completely had it their way now for 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. And so finally something kind of blows up in their face, which needed to happen. But they keep their heat at the end by the big attack. And there's something like when Eddie Marlin comes out there and takes his jacket off and starts throwing punches, you're just like, okay, this old dude's in here trying to throw punches. And when they sell it, you're like, they're selling for this old dude. But Jackie was still spry enough here. Like, I didn't feel that way. I felt like, hey, Jackie's still tough enough to whoop these guys' ass. It felt reasonable that he's still
Those punches are so good. I said that, but they're just so good.
Absolutely. So Jerry Lawler comes out as these guys are still complaining, and he's got his newly won unified title with him, and Prichard and Embry are not happy. Lawler says, well, what you see is what you
tremendous.
get.
Look at that. Look at that. No shirt.
That's what I
just
put.
Sweater.
Why is he not wearing a shirt is what I wrote.
That's the rare king right there.
Yeah,
just chest.
Eric Embry could have challenged him to shirts versus blouses, like the Prince on the Chappelle show there.
Jesus.
But Lawler smugly points to the belt and says, "What you see is what you get." And Eric Embry makes him eat those words. He says, "You're right. What you see is what you get." And they commence to whooping that ass real good. Here comes Eddie Gilbert out to save Lawler, which things such as they are still feels kind of odd, even though they're against these guys. But they're doing their best to fight them off. And then the Texas Hangmen arrive here in the USWA. And now we got 4-on-2 until Jeff Jarrett runs out with a stepladder. And apparently in Texas, they have a severe fear of stepladder. Because even though they still had them outnumbered, the stepladder was enough to make them run for their lives. I thought it was pretty funny. You can't see the hit, but you see Jeff fling the stepladder, and then when they do cut the camera over, Embry's holding his arm like, you son of a bitch. You see it on his face right there. There's the ladder under the curtain, and Embry's like, you motherfucker, you threw that ladder at me. So I'm pretty sure Jarrett was a good shot, and he hit him.
Well, I mean, if he didn't, then he was extremely convincing. Like, I thought that was a nice little tiny piece of the puzzle. And we've been talking about that for weeks now with this new booking going on, man. It's like the little things,
Yeah, absolutely. But apparently, at least like in these times, nobody had the forethought to bring weapons to the studio. So we're just stuck grabbing whatever we could find. So we've had some of the silliest weapons the freaking sweet tea dispenser, little tiny office garbage cans, and just whatever weird shit we can pick up. He's bringing it out there, him and Lawler. So Jeff Jarrett stopped that attack there, and the babyfaces are a little worse for wear, but they're not as bad as Eric Embry seemingly having a broke arm from getting hit with that ladder. Which brings us to our next matchup here. And again, this is one of those. Brian Collins is tagging with Nightmare Danny Davis. And you're just like, what are we doing? Why? They're taking on Psycho and Killer, the Texas Hangmen. I don't know why, but I always liked these guys. Like when they showed up,
I did
Memphis,
too. Yeah.
And the AWA, and then later when I was tape trading, I got tapes of them in Puerto Rico.
Love those hoods. Love them.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, unique, man.
Yeah, very
extremely
much so.
For the time.
And so it was Bull Payne, and who else? Who was the other guy?
I can't remember the other guy's name.
But it was his name. And the reason I'm saying this only is because he's on my Facebook as Frank. I'm not saying that because I call him Frank, but it's Frank and somebody else, Bull Payne, and I don't know who that guy was. No,
I meant to look that up when I was making notes, and I got sidetracked. I never did go back and look it up. But yeah, one's definitely Bull Payne. By next week, I'll have you the answer to who the other one is. So this is another one of those matches, just like with Curtis Thompson last week, where or Collins just never tags out. So I have to question the logic of why wouldn't Danny Davis start this match realistically? Like, we know you're going to get your ass owned in here, Brian Collins. So at least let Uncle Danny start the match. No. Brian Collins starts the match and he ends the match. Danny Davis is out there with his dick in his hand on the apron for this entire match, just like Curtis Thompson was last week. And the thing that stood out to me about this match, I guess they had a certain amount of time to fill, or they just wanted to look as dominant as possible. But they hit 2 or 3 moves that should have been the be-all, end-all finishers. Just no way they get up. But they don't. And then they end up finishing the match with something that was lamer than anything else they've done in the entire match. Check these highlights out real quick of the Texas Hangmen in action.
To the midsection, and the DDT. The Texas Smashola there.
Picked him up.
Making the tag now, sets him for the neck breaker. The other Hangman climbing to the second strand of rope, going to come down with a double axe handle with the neck breaker. Down goes Brian Collins. His partner. Valiantly, Collins trying to fight back. Both Hangmen, they go set him for a pile driver. No, they're going to... Oh! Whoa! What power into that slam. 1, 2, and they pull him up again,
Oh, my
Dave.
goodness. I was hoping, Michael.
Collins attacked. There's a double headbutt. Collins was attacked before the opening bell, and Dave, you're absolutely right. They haven't let up an inch. Now here's a cover, 2, 3, and finally, mercifully, Brian Collins is pinned by the Texas Hangman.
So I only included the DDT because I wanted everybody to hear Michael St. John call it the Texas Smashola.
Yes, Texas Smashola, y'all.
That had to be a riff on his part. And then, the double team move, dropping the big forearm at the same time as the Rude Awakening neck breaker. Their Hangman, that was like the Hangman's neck breaker. Perfect finish. No, we're not finished. That double power bomb looked like it freaking killed him. And power bombs weren't, a regular thing in 91 quite yet. But no, what do we decide to end it with? Double falling headbutts, which was the least impressive thing they did in that entire match right there. And then Danny doesn't even come in fired up. He just comes and does the duck down to one knee and like, sorry, kid, is your back broken?
Can you imagine backstage? This is the second week in a row, but they talked to Brian Collins and he goes, and I'm going to have a partner this week. Yeah. You're with Danny Davidson. He's going to tag in, blah, blah, blah. And then after the match, he's looking up at Danny. Where were you? This is 2 weeks in a row that I had a partner that never tagged in. So I don't know. Maybe it's a rib on this Brian Collins kid.
Well, the rib was on Uncle Danny, too, because he painted a star on his face just to stand on the apron out there because he didn't get a promo this week.
Yeah, he didn't. He knew he wasn't going to get no action. He didn't have no wrist tape whatsoever, and that's, you know what I mean.
Oh, like, there you go. Yeah,
I noticed that, and I was like, yeah, this is the same deal that's going to happen. But what was weird about this week was the length. I think that something happened time-wise, and maybe the Hangman thought it was going to be just a match like last week where it was 2 minutes and, we're done or whatever. But because they hit the whirlwind, that's the end. And right there at the beginning, and then you said, a couple more look to be finishers that wasn't. So it was 5 minutes, actually a little over 5 minutes. And it just stretched it out like a Laffy Taffy. I thought maybe they shouldn't have went so long and should have just took it home right after that whirlwind.
Because it made the no tag thing look even odder. And it looked even odder that eventually everybody knows he don't play. Hot-headed Nightmare Danny Davis at some point probably just said if this was a competitive match or, there wasn't a directive like stay out. Some point he would have ran in and broke some of that shit up or something, or at the very least at the finish, but like you said, he just stood over there with no wrist tape. He wasn't even really trying to start no chance. So let's go Brian or none of that shit. He's just here and not happy about it. But it reminded me, even though this was a much better match than Texas Hangmen are much better workers. Do you remember that one especially long drug out squash match with the Harlem Knights? They just wouldn't end.
Yeah, just kept on going. Oh,
they just did every move in the repertoire like almost twice. That's what this felt like here. Just uncomfortably long. And then afterwards, we get a promo from the Hangman as they warn the Tennessee wrestlers that Texas has invaded and he warned the Tennessee fans to hide your daughters, which I don't know about the Texas Hangmen, but that's probably just a good idea in general around the Memphis territory. Saying. But that didn't feel like the classiest of lines to say, but it probably was a necessary warning anyway. So how do you guys, I mean, what do you guys think of the Texas Hangmen? Have you seen a lot of them? You think they're going to be good? I mean, obviously, what better team to join the Texas bunch than the Texas Hangmen? So I think it's right on time.
Oh, I loved it as a kid, but I'd never seen them before. But I know they were in AWA, but by that point I wasn't watching and stuff. But yeah. I loved, like I said, the mask was so unique for that time period, like with the bull face on it and stuff, and the hangman's noose, and their outfits really looked like they had put some money into it and they really cared about the presentation, opposed to just getting one of them glitter paint pens and painting TH on the back of some vest, right. You know, like visually I loved it. And those guys, they weren't small guys. Like they reminded me kind of like the way Demolition kind of like was visually. The tag team moves, they work really well together. So yeah, I loved it as a kid.
Yeah, I was always a fan of the number one. They're a tag team, marked for tag teams. Number two, they got mask on. I'm always a mark for a mask tag team. And actually, like the gimmick, they were big guys. They looked like they could whip somebody's ass, and they didn't. You know, they weren't as smooth as some of the guys in the business at the time, but they were a lot better than a Jeff Gaylord or something like that.
And I like that Dave Brown even pointed out that they were kind of a throwback to the interns and the assassins and some of the match.
Yeah, I like that too. Yep.
So I thought that was cool. So next up, we're not going to go through the card, but we'll go ahead and mention here, Dave Brown talks about not being at the Mid-South Coliseum. Now, the way he's presenting it here, Memphis State basketball is going to be at the Coliseum. They take precedence over everybody else. So they're not going to the Pipkin building yet, as we mentioned last week. First, they're going to something called the Youth Building. And he puts over the fact that it's free parking as long as you use the Central or Parkway entrance. Now, if you come in one of the other entrances, you're paying. Make sure you come in those entrances. He says that a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then no service charge on tickets. So if I'm a fan at that time, I'm thinking, hey, free parking and no service charge, this is a pretty sweet deal. I'm not even mad they're not going to be at the Coliseum now. So we'll see a little bit later in the show what that card turns out to be. But for now, we're going to hear from the man himself, Terry Funk. I didn't clip this promo. It wasn't a bad promo, believe me, but I wasn't as overwhelmed with it as I was the one last week. This was clearly done in the dressing room after the match. I think he was they probably just threw a camera in his face and he was kind of struggling for words at some points. You can tell he's just he calls the Memphis fans ignorant pigs. He buries Jackie Fargo as an old, decrepit piece of junk. And he promises the Texas bunch will destroy Lawler, Jarrett, Gilbert, and Fargo, because if we haven't said so already, that's what it's going to be this week. It's going to be an 8-man tag with Funk, Embry, Prichard, and Tojo against Lawler, Gilbert, Jarrett, and Jackie Fargo. So that ought to sell some tickets, I would imagine.
I like this promo. He said, I don't know, he was talking like there was a woman out there with splintered legs and looked like a dog, is what he said.
Yeah.
He also quoted best in the world. I do know Punk's huge Funk fan, so be interested to see if that was something that Funk said more often. I don't know. He could not remember Tojo's name. Did y'all notice that? He was like, that Japanese goof. He called him a Japanese goof because he couldn't remember his name. So yeah.
Well, he called him that moron. And then he totally put him down. That made me think that Tojo had been ribbed the fuck out of him or something in the past. Like he had this horrible disdain, would not put Tojo over at all.
Yeah, I don't think he even remembered his name.
Yeah.
Jackie hit him for real, y'all.
it was a good promo, but it wasn't your typical Terry Funk promo that you can tell he was kind of just riffing there. So I thought, well, we saw a long promo last week. We won't do this week. But next up, it brings us to a tag team match. Now, this is the heel version of what we saw earlier somewhat.
Right.
Steve Austin and the Scorpion with JC Ice Baby taking on Jeff Jarrett and Eddie Gilbert. And I really love the story they're telling this match as Jarrett starts out wrestling clean. Gilbert is just cheating his ass off at every opportunity, and the crowd is eating it up. He's pulling hair, he's choking, he's raking eyes. And eventually, Jeff Jarrett even gets in on it. They're doing some, fake tags, and Jarrett pulls the guy's mask a few times. And finally, at one point, the referee's distracted. Gilbert gives the Scorpion a pile driver, and Jarrett ends up getting the win. But I thought that was fun, that it's kind of showing that influence on Jarrett. He starts out, he's doing his usual clean match, but Eddie's cheating like hell. Jarrett hears the crowd reacting positively, so if you can't beat him, join him. He gets involved with that too. Again, it feels weird seeing Steve Austin tagging with the Scorpion, but Scorpion has kind of been elevated into like 6-man tags and tag teams, so maybe at this point they're not even really considering him a job guy. But I don't know. But because of all of Eddie's tactics and Jeff's following suit, I thought it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this match.
Oh, yeah. Psychologically, dude, this was such a trip watching. I mean, I can't remember a time where they're, like you said, that they both started cheating, where you expect it from Gilbert because we're not still not sure if he's a full-blown babyface or if he's still kind of got heel tendencies. He obviously does. He was cheating. But, like, I had never seen where – the reversal of the crowd where the ref asked the crowd, was he pulling his hair? No. That was such a fucking head trip, man. But that shows the power of influence and just doing a little bit of good, and the fans immediately had Eddie's back. I always wanted to like Eddie Gilbert. I always did. He's a cool character, in the way he does things, but man, it happened so quick that, like I said, I'd never seen it happen that way. And, I guess like more to come. Is he going to go full blown babyface? We'll have to see.
I love it that he was getting Jarrett to cheat. I think these little details are so good. He's getting Jarrett to also cheat with him. Jarrett did the DDT, by the way, during this match, the dreaded DDT that we always like to watch. I don't know. I'm just not sure what he thought a DDT was. He goes to the side and everything. Not that I'm, the world's best professional wrestler, but that is just.
Well, Michael St. John messed up and called it a knee DT.
Yeah, a knee DT.
So I think that's the best.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's a knee DT. We just didn't know it. That's what it is.
I was hoping he would go, wait a minute, what's Jeff Jarrett doing the Texas, what did he call it earlier? The
Smash.
Texas Smashola or whatever. Like,
You might get a t-shirt out of that.
Dave, and Dave, like, no, that's the Tennessee Smashola right there. But what's crazy to me is seeing him do that in this match. I thought, all right, he's doing it here just as shittily as he was in 93. And two whole years later, he's doing it that way. So nobody thought enough to take him aside and be like, Jeff, you got to learn how to do a DDT, dude, or just take that out of your repertoire because that's fucking awful. But no, 2 years later, he liked it so much, he decides it's his finish for a while. I guess
there's some stuff that Eddie does in this match, the heel stuff, where that if you go back and watch future Brian Christopher, you could see Brian was stealing some stuff from Eddie on the side of the ring, that the way he walked and all that kind of stuff. It was all Eddie Gilbert. Brian Christopher was doing heel Eddie Gilbert. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Brian's heel stuff, I've always felt was way more influenced by Eddie than by his dad,
right.
Which leaves a little bit of his dad in there because Eddie's influenced by Jerry. But to what you said a minute ago, Josh, like the way for sure, if anybody was questioning, like, well, is this going to work or is it working? When the crowd is lying and covering up for you, it's working.
Yep,
You've got them. So that was awesome to see. Austin and Dundee abandoned the Scorpion at the end of the match while he's taking the loss. They get the hell on out of there. Can't say I blame them. And so then we get a promo. Start out with Lawler and Jarrett. Of course, they got their belts out there with them to kind of rub Eddie's nose in it, I guess. That's not their intention, but there's a shot of Jeff. And then here's Eddie. And, of course, as I always like to point out, he starts out pretty low-key, but he quickly gets to this. If you're watching the video screen, you can tell he is fired up. And, of course, before they get to Eddie's standing over pacing, I found it kind of funny because I've been watching Eddie in these babyface promos because, for one thing, some of these weeks he's been getting the short end of the stick where by the time Jarrett and Lawler get through talking, Dave's like, well, we're out of time is what we had last week. And you could see it on his face. Like he was not happy. So this week they're fired up, but before they can get to that, Lawler's got to plug all the local appearances. I'm going to be out at the hardware store this afternoon. You can get a picture of the drive-thru at Arby's, blah, blah, blah. And then he talks about some of Funk's insults and makes jokes about women from Texas and everything. And at one point, you see Eddie's back there standing behind Michael St. John. Another point, he's got his sunglasses back on. He's just sitting on the desk looking like he's bored. And then finally it gets to be his turn, and then he fires it up and delivers the promo he wants to. But that's just been a little fun thing during this babyface turn, is just kind of watch him as he's waiting forever to get his promo time. And I'm wondering if Embry is trying to cut down his promo time, like stuff, because like I say, he's always the last one to get to talk, and some days he either gets no time in or just barely any time in, because I know they definitely were not a fan of Embry or his booking, because Doug won't hardly badmouth anybody, but he will badmouth Eric Embry on his podcast and drop a hat. Doesn't mind at all. But I did find it interesting here that Gilbert pointed out that the biggest issue he has with the Texas guys is that he's keeping him away from those belts that his friends are holding, because they don't have the belts with them, but Jarrett and Lawler are the world champion, the Southern champion, and together they are the tag champions. So the one owner and the other owner's son have all of the belts, which, not out of, it's not abnormal for a wrestling promotion to have that to happen. But I just thought that was kind of fun that, basically it's almost like Eddie's telling you, the minute this Texas shit's over with, watch your back, because I'm going to take y'all out with those belts. Yeah. He almost says it in that many words. I'll tell you who we are going to listen to this week, because we hadn't gotten a promo from him. I was disappointed he wasn't on the famous couch delivering this promo. But we get a promo from Jackie Fargo, and he even hits him with some finger guns here at the end of this thing. And let's listen right now to the fabulous Jackie Fargo talking about this big 8-man tag team match we got coming up this week.
I don't really have any business out here on TV, because I've been off for a while, and I say a lot of things that I shouldn't say on TV, and I don't want to insult anybody or embarrass any of the children or say something I shouldn't. But listen, let me tell you something, pal. I'm going to tell you Texas boys running around with your little hat cocked up there. Well, let me tell you something, baby cakes. You're in Tennessee. At the Mid-South Coliseum, I sweated more blood and sweat and tears. I've had haircuts. I've had busted eyes, busted nose, baby. You ain't nothing. Do you understand where I'm coming from, Funk? You ain't nothing, baby. Now, let me tell you something. This Monday night, I had no idea I was going to be back in Memphis, Tennessee. But I'm going to be back in Memphis. I'd like to rather been out playing golf, but now you've given me something to do. I got to go back and prove to you and your stooges that Tennessee is a hell of a lot tougher than Texas. Now, I don't think you quite know what you're in for. When you take guys like Jerry Lawler, Jeff Jarrett, Eddie Gilbert, and the fabulous Jackie Fargo, baby, there's going to be a good time to be had by all down there Monday night. Because I'm going to kick your butt all the way back to Texas. And if you don't think I can do it, you might ought to take a little survey around town.
Pow. Pow. That shit at the end got me. That was
Out cheer. It got me. And then I think his hair was even different that time. I've turned into Terry Garvin when it comes to hair, I think. So it's not everyone's
which Terry Garvin, the original.
Yeah, either one of them, it don't matter. So
you need to do some reading up on the first Terry Garvin, apparently, if you're gonna own that statement. But yeah, that was fun, and that little pal there at the end just really cinched it.
Well, at least it wasn't a real gun like we had in the promo a couple weeks back. So
true, he's not El Grande Pistolero.
Pistolero. I thought it was fun. The only thing I could think of during that promo was, those old guys that usually they'll either be at like a grocery store's deli seating area during the mornings.
Yes,
a group of them, or like at the McDonald's or something.
Junior food store.
Yeah, and that they congregate and they stay there for a couple hours talking and whatnot. And he has that vibe of, let me tell you something about the damn Ford Motor Company, pal, or whatever. He's just got that. He's had a disagreement. He didn't seem like he was, insanely mad about it. He's just like, I wish I could be playing golf, but I guess I'm going to have to learn you something, boy. That type of attitude, which.
Going to learn you something.
It just.
Out here learning everybody something.
As the kids say, I'm going to match your energy. I don't feel like Jackie's rage was appropriate for the situation.
He didn't say Pally either, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Did he? Okay, I missed that.
But yeah, I can agree with that. That's how I felt about Lawler last week, and but at least Jackie talked about his opponent some, and even if he didn't seem fired up enough. But I don't know. I've become fascinated with Jackie Fargo because he was kind of before my time, and this is really the only Jackie Fargo I ever saw. And so when I was and I'd hear stories like from my dad and my uncles and stuff would talk, tell about Jackie Fargo and the interns and all these people. And so then when I would see him on TV like this, I'd be like, how is this guy the top star? Like, how was he ever the top star of anything? And then as I've gotten older, I've done a little more research and reading and looking at things and reading Don Fargo's book to the point that I'd kind of fired myself up and was convinced I was going to try to write a book on Jackie Fargo, but I've talked to a couple of people who have since talked me out of it, so I don't guess I will. So maybe I'll just do a podcast about him or something sometime soon. But that man, I mean, he put a lot of asses in seats for a lot of years, not just in Memphis. I mean, him and Don, sold out Madison Square Garden at one point, long before his Memphis days. So he's got quite the career and quite the story, but you really are hard pressed to find the real story because he didn't break kayfabe right up until his death. He did one interview with Scott Teal where he talked out of character. It's the only time he ever did it. And it wasn't even a really long, extensive interview. And anybody else who really knew him personally aren't around these days. And so I don't know. I guess that's a project that won't happen, but I hate that somebody didn't drag all that out of him and get a book about him because Lord knows if anybody should have had one, it's him. So third match on television today, and we're doing it again. We got Chris Frazier tagging with the returning Billy Joe Travis, taking on Eric Embry and Dr. Tom Prichard with Tojo at ringside. But at least they did in this match what I thought they could have and maybe should have done in the last match. We let Travis start, get some stuff in, look good, and then tag in Chris Frazier, who gets just obliterated by the Texas bunch. But I'm thinking maybe it's because the Texas Hangmen are brand new, so we didn't want to start the match out with, Uncle Danny getting stuff in on them. We wanted to establish dominance for 5.5 minutes this week, and then maybe by next week he can take a couple of moves. But Travis looked good here. It's good to see him back. I'm always a fan of Billy Travis. I'm always happy to see him pop up whenever we're doing things like this. And man, Embry and Prichard, once they got a hold of Chris Frazier, it was pretty brutal. Of course, Embry does his diving Chris Benoit headbutt for the finish, which I just didn't remember that, man. If you'd asked me before we started watching these matches, like, hey, do you remember when Eric Embry used to use the diving headbutt? I'd be like, I don't think he ever did that. But yeah, he's doing it every week here. What'd you guys think of this match?
I enjoyed it, and like you, I don't remember the diving headbutt. If you would have asked me, I would have said it was the pile driver or something like that. It seemed like he worked that in later on in this whole thing. But yeah, I absolutely enjoyed this match. And, like Chris Frazier, for what it's worth, I mean, like, he's not going to be the one we've talked about before where they've like letting the Scorpion get some in and letting Keith Eric have a thing, but Chris Frazier is never going to be that guy. And, he takes a good ass whooping because like his movements look real. It's almost like you have to rough him up a bit to really get some good sales out of him. But yeah, I mean, for what it was worth, I enjoyed it. And the slingshot suplex actually worked this time.
As soon as he hooked him for it, I was like, God damn it, Tom, why? And then it worked. I was like, well, all right, third time's the charm, I guess.
And it was a setup. It was a setup for the Chris Benoit diving headbutt. So yeah, I mean, I liked the way it ended. And Billy Joe, they did let him get a little bit in. And all I could think of, though, Lord, Memo would have been tore up. Hogwatch was like in full effect, dude. Like you had Embry and Billy Joe in the ring at the same time. Yeah, Memo would have been tore up.
Always a big fan. I'm like, Billy Joe Travis, see him come. He was always super nice to me. Kayfabed a little bit, but then he wouldn't. It was, he didn't hang out with me, but he always said hi and always shook my hand. By the way, Dave Brown made a point to say that Billy Joe Travis loves his mama. And I think it was Dr. Tom that said wife beating country music. And he came over to do the commentary like he's been doing during the matches. And he said, all these Tennessee people will listen to that wife beating country music. And I absolutely loved that.
I was kind of, I'm sorry to step on the segment, but I was kind of like disappointed just a little bit because, just a few months before this, Billy Joe was on ESPN on the USWA show on that, just acting a plumb fool. I mean, with the Elvis suit, busting guitars. He was challenging, who was it, Buster Douglas to a boxing match. He did that more than 1 week. It was a thing, him challenging him. And he's just like, he came back kind of as a plain Jane. I'm Billy Joe Travis, no guitar, no nothing.
Well, look at who the top heel is. Look at who's booking. Would you want to have to compete with Billy Joe unless you're going to put him in the Texas bunch? I wouldn't want him running around there getting all the heat at the moment, So, and plus they were kind of short on baby faces to some degree. So I get it. There wasn't a place for him in the Texas bunch. I don't know that he would fit in with the ice machines, if that's still what Jamie's calling them by now. So yeah, I guess you just kind of had to take it back to babyface Billy. And plus, I don't know how many people in Memphis had seen all that shit from Dallas anyway. So if you're going to have him be heel, I guess you probably would have to do something, because I think the last time that he'd been seen in Memphis, he had been a babyface, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm sure the opportunity will present itself soon enough, hopefully maybe to turn him down the line. But I'm just happy to see him here and getting some bit of offense in before he tags out. And we just use Chris Frazier as a freaking tackling dummy for, another 2.5 minutes or whatever it turned out to be. Coming out of that match, we get, of course, USWA is coming to Ripley and Jonesboro, Clarksdale, Mississippi, blah, blah, blah. And then we get a recap of last week's cage match, the Texas Death Steel cage match that ended in a no contest, and we see a little bit of the reasons why. We start the footage off bloodied, beaten, Eddie Gilbert handcuffed to the rope. Doug Gilbert, currently a heel, hits the ring to try and help his brother, but he gets cut off pretty quick. They end up pile driving him on the concrete a couple of times for his trouble. But I thought that was interesting because, like you say, it's still blurring that line of, Doug's. We don't know if Eddie's a heel or not, but he's definitely tagging with some baby faces. But Doug has shown no allegiance to any baby faces, but he's got an allegiance to his brother at all times. So he sees his brother out here handcuffed, getting beat. He's coming to help him. And I like that because we know how tight-knit the Gilberts were in real life, but even how they've been portrayed on TV. And you're going to start asking yourself eventually, when these times when Eddie's getting beat up and he's waiting for Jeff or Lawler or whoever to come save him, Doug's there. We know he's there. He was on the card. Why the hell would he not save him? So we get that here, which I think that's a good aspect of the story. Tojo's got the briefcase in there, hitting people with it. Till finally Jackie Fargo comes into the cage to make the save, and that's what sets the stage for this 8-man tag. So looking back on it, the finish makes a little more sense. I still don't love it, but we had to build to next week. And we got all these different players involved that now we can mix into the 8-man tag. So there's nobody left. In theory, there's nobody left to run in. They're all in the match already. So I wasn't a very long clip, but from what you saw, what did you guys think of this?
I like the chaotic aspect of it. Lots of good blood going on with Gilbert, and I like that. They got Jackie to run in and get some in and stuff, but the Doug Gilbert thing that really puzzled me, and that opens the door too. Like, if he does come back, whose side's he going to be on? Like you say, he's always going to be by Eddie, but Eddie's been hanging out with Jeff Jarrett, Lawler, even though there's a thing like there, but 2 pile drivers to the floor, so he may not be back. But it, in a sense, it had to happen. That the fast pin and all that had to work out to get to where we're going this week.
Yeah, I wondered about, we kind of bitched and moaned about the finish of the cage, Texas Death Cage match last week. I didn't have a problem with this finish after seeing why it was, no contest. Fargo again clearing the ring. I really like all that stuff and the violence in it. And I do like because Doug is a heel, but still that's his brother, and that little detail. I seem to think, I giving all this credit to Embry as the booker, but he seems to really dig those little details of everything. You said Doug didn't like him as a booker, but man, I am really enjoying this so far.
Yeah, well,
but I didn't have to work.
You got to realize you're not watching. Yeah, Doug's not watching as a fan. He just doesn't like his, his role in it, or I guess even Eddie's role in it. But I think a lot of his is just he didn't like him personally. And it's a lot of times you don't really see things for, if you don't, there's people that I don't like personally, and I'm not going to like anything they fucking do. I don't care how good it is. Fuck them. I don't like them. So I get it. Right. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out, because if you think about it, I think Bruno was going to have another match with Jamie, but for the most part, the stable that Doug was a part of with Bruno, Dirty White Boy and all that, well, Dirty White Boy is suddenly nowhere to be found, and Bruno's about on his way out. So I guess they're trying to figure out something to do with him in general, and he may just go away. I can't remember, honestly, in this time frame, if he continues on in Memphis or if he goes elsewhere. I guess we'll see. We get another promo from Embry, Prichard, and Tojo. Kind of more of the same. No need really to recap that. After that, Superstar Bill Dundee taking on Sergeant O'Reilly. And classic Dundee match here. Gets his arm drags and mat work, and he's fired up, and eventually he puts O'Reilly away with a sleeper hold, which it's kind of unsuspected. I don't really remember Dundee being a big proponent of the sleeper, but there it was. And post-match, Steve Austin comes in, attacks him, busts him open. He's got some kind of loaded glove or some kind of gimmick on. All the while, JC Ice is over there yelling into the microphone. I actually do have a clip of this. Let's see a little bit of what happened to Bill, and then we'll hear his fired up promo after the fact.
Out in the ring.
Oh, come on.
Here comes stunning Steve Austin into the ring. He's got JC. He's got the glove with him.
You see that, Bill Dundee? I've got friends, man. I've got lots of friends. I got big, bad, leading, mean friends, baby. I got lots of friends. You know what? They got no friends, Dundee, man. Look at him. Where's his friends now, Dave? Where's his friends, man?
Dundee is down, being waylaid by that loaded glove by Steve Austin. Austin's got Dundee in a heap of trouble in the ring.
He did indeed. He came in with that glove and popped.
Where's his friends now, Dave? Where's your friends, Bill Dundee?
That head taken care of.
Dave Brown, let me tell you something, Austin. The screaming and the hollering don't do one bit of good. J.C. Ice, Jimmy Dundee, that's what you are to me. Now, the white boy's gone. He got beat up so bad he didn't want no more. Then you brought in that other musclehead, Jeff Gaylord. He got beat up. He didn't want no more. Now, Jimmy Dundee, you know me better than anybody walking the face of this earth. Now, I'm going to tell you something, Steve Austin. I'm not the biggest guy in the world. And all my life, somebody bigger than me's been beating me up. All my life, because when you go to school, all them little kids out there, there's a school bully. And he picks on the littlest one. Well, I always was the littlest one. But I'm fighting for something I believe in, and that's getting my son back. And if I got to beat your brains out, Steve Austin, or anybody else, to let that boy see the light, that's exactly what he's going to do. Take a good look at this face, Austin, because one night you're going to wake up and it's going to be standing over your bed if that's what it takes, and I'm beating your brains out. And Monday night, brother, I'm going to pound you from one end of that new building to the other. As sure as my name is Bill Dundee.
Damn it.
Poor Bill got the hook. They put the bumper music in. He talked all the way through it, and you can see Dave tapping his arm. And then and as he tries to talk through it a second time, they kill his mic, and we go on to commercial.
Oh, they hit him with the fire extinguisher, man. That's total mood killer. Like, and it was supposed to be so intense, the blood, and he said, you're gonna wake up and see this face standing over you if that's what it takes, Austin. And super intense. And then that damn bumper music hit. That took it out of me watching it, because
then it becomes comical now
me from the situation. That is the worst thing that can happen in this type of situation. It's bad in a regular promo, but good God, this needed to work. And I mean, it's still some fire going in the situation, but God, this is a horrible, horrible deal.
I hate it because it did, but Dundee's always good at the promo. I'm glad you showed that clip because I couldn't remember whether Dundee slapped Sarge on the back to wake him up from sleeper hold. I couldn't remember, and I'm so glad he did. But yeah,
I mean, be asleep now.
Yeah, he beat the shit out of him. I like all that, but it kind of, like Josh said, kind of took you away when you got music, the bumper playing, trying to get you out of it. So you can imagine somebody going like that, hurry up, and Dundee saying, fuck y'all, I'm about to say what I gotta say, kind of thing.
Dundee's like, I cut myself for y'all for free this morning. You're gonna let me finish my damn sentence? And they're like, nope. Anybody else would have gotten when they come to the curtain, they would have gotten in trouble for going long. But since it's Bill, I'm sure somebody got cussed out when he got back there. Why you doing? Don't cut my fucking promo off, you son of a bitch. So
how many fucking fenders you gonna sell with Levy Auto Parts, Metal? That's bullshit.
Exactly. Yeah, the line about you may wake up with me standing over you in bed. It's like, whoa, that's a whole different threat. I've never heard anybody say that before. But Dundee still determined to beat up everyone until he convinces Jamie to come back. Boy, Jamie, I don't know what he's doing different to his hair, but it looked more like a coonskin cap this week than it has yet. The way he's got it poofing up from a distance, it looks like a freaking coonskin cap. It's not his best look. But so that's what winds down the show. They just come back, and Dave Brown and Michael St. John remind everybody that Monday shows at the youth building and what entrance to come in, and that's that. So let's take our commercial break. I've started just doing one. We're trying to get away with just doing one per show now. And then we'll let Dave tell us about Monday night's card. And then we'll see how you guys felt about it right after this.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here. Lots of new stuff happening here at WrestleCopia. If you haven't checked out our website at WrestleCopia.com, it's a great way to keep up with the latest episodes of all of your favorite Copia programming, from the Wrestling Memory Grenade to Regional Wrestling with the Territory Talk, the Wrestling Stoop with the legendary Bob Roop, and of course all of those programs also available at your favorite podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the Copia world, all the latest news, random thoughts, fun videos, pictures, and more, make sure to join the more than 33,000 followers over at Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. Don't be left out. And last but definitely not least, it's what keeps the entire machine going. I'm talking about Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. We appreciate your support in helping us pay the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network running and enabling us to continue to bring you all the quality programming that we offer.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Sheik, Jarrett, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all, and all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling! Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Tired of the same boring wrestling podcast? Need something with attitude, chaos, and maybe just a little cussing? That's stspod.club, and we got it all covered. We got wrestling weirdness with WTF News Desk, 5-minute time limit, and the Southern fried brain of me, BT, stirring the whole ship. We also have rolling into Memphis every week about the current Memphis wrestling. Interviews, hot takes, and wrestling outrageousness so wild it might get you banned in 12 states. That's right, it's stspod.club, or search all podcast catchers for Shooting the Shiznit, where wrestling podcasts grow chest hair. Not sure what that meant. Love my mama.
Right now, let's hear what all this has been building to for Monday night. Not at the Mid-South Coliseum, but at the Youth Building.
Uptown Bruno or downtown Bruno, take your pick, involved in the first match of the night at 7:30 against J.C. Ice. A rematch here. Ice won the first one. Bruno said, I want another chance at it. Keith Roberson will be going against new kid Brian Christopher in a single match. Johnny Rotten takes on Night Train Jackson. Then the Texas Hangmen. Oh, what a bunch. They're going to be going against the U.S. male Curtis Thompson and Billy Joe Travis. A couple of fine wrestlers there. I don't know how they'll work as a tag team, but an interesting pairing there nonetheless.
Tough competition for the Texas Hangmen, but boy, what a tough team they've turned out to be.
You're right. USWA light heavyweight title match. Danny Davis, the former champion, wants the belt back. He'll try to take it away from El Grande Pistolero, who won it in Dallas, Texas. More about that later on. The rematch comes up Monday night. Special challenge match. The superstar, Bill Dundee, will be going against Steve Austin with J.C. Ice in Austin's corner. Then the Grudge 8-man tag battle we've been talking about, Texas versus Tennessee. The guys from Texas in here running wild, trying to control things. Terry Funk, Eric Embry, Tom Prichard, and Tojo Yamamoto on one side of the ring. On the other, though, take a look at this team. The King, Jerry Lawler, the fabulous one, the original fabulous one, Jackie Fargo, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, and Jeff Jarrett. 8 very talented individuals in the ring, and they are going to be looking for action when the Grudge match takes place Monday night.
And what a superstar card from start to finish Monday night at the Youth Building here, and it is going to be something else.
General admission, $4. Wow. That's even for 1991. That's
and no service charge.
That's right. No service charge. You can park
Free
your car
park?
if you come in the right entrance. Don't go in the wrong entrance. Well, all right. Let's
there's no such thing as a wrong entrance. Wait, you're talking about? Oh, all right.
Yeah, we're talking about parking, not your personal life. So let's talk about what were you guys' least favorite part of this week's show?
I just don't like that formula that we're going with now, where you've got the one enhancement talent type guy, and then you've got the veteran who is just standing out there like a knight statue or something. You know, it seems like it's becoming a formula now, and I don't like the way that it's just blatantly predictable. If you see that, then you know what's fixing to happen now. So yeah, but great show though. I mean, like that's not a big deal, but yeah, just something small.
I agree. That's about the only thing where you're seeing a jobber come out with, and even with Austin, they talk like the Scorpion was a big deal or something. But yeah, you got Brian Collins hasn't got a move in, I don't think, poor guy. And also we had Chris Frazier, who don't deserve to have a move in. Yeah, just I mean, I like the show, but that'd be my least favorite part.
You can't tell me there aren't 2 or 3 local guys they could get to come do this.
To do the jobs, that's right. Yeah, but I think they're wanting to get the stars also on TV. But like I said, there would be
for them. I mean, to be tagged with a jobber and never get in a ring, it doesn't. They're better off to not be seen.
I agree. Yeah.
But anyway, like you say, things seem to fall into a formula with Memphis, so that means we'll probably be seeing this for a little while moving forward, unfortunately. But it is what it is. So, the inverse of that, what was your most favorite part of this week's show?
Well, we're still going with the Tennessee versus Texas thing really, really strong. And it seemed like for the last couple of weeks, there's been that underlying question. How are we going to keep this rolling and make it make sense in terms of like how much, heat this has, or how much, just how much intensity that this thing has. And, I was kind of questionable last week. How are we going to keep this rolling with the way things look? And what do? We get Jackie Fargo in here, baby. And, not only was he plugged in last week for the referee, but he's now going to be a part of, Tennessee versus Texas match. And we haven't got to see Jackie Fargo wrestle in a long time. So he's usually the end all be all in situations where we've called him in, we need him, and this is the cherry on top, I think. And I'm excited to see what happens, the result, if they actually even let him get the pin too.
We shall see. BT?
Well, my favorite part is the clips from Mid-South Coliseum. I love both of those with the cage and Funk versus Lawler. Man, it looked fun. I love watching Fargo with those punches. I guess that's, it's part of the, like Josh was talking about, we got the Tennessee Texas feud still going. But man, that's just my favorite part. I always love the clips from the Mid-South Coliseum, and I always want, I would have loved to have the full show from start to finish back in the day. I know they reused the tapes and all that stuff, but just one of those things where, those would have been great study for everybody to watch what was going on. They're able to watch the TV, but a lot of bands record every one of their concerts. And I was listening to I was watching a documentary on Ozzy and Randy Rhoads. Actually, it was on Randy Rhoads, his lead guitarist. And he said, hey, we were listening to the tape from the show when we was going down the road. And I was like, that's what a lot of the guys could have benefited from watching the Mid-South Coliseum matches, because they were all a little bit different, especially the opening matches.
few different people have told me that were around back then that at one point Mike Fields had all those because he helped record all those Monday night shows, and a lot of these full matches that you've seen randomly pop up. I know, like he gave Wolfie a handful of their matches, like with the Rock and Roll Express.
Who did now? I missed it.
Mike Shields.
Okay.
And that I don't know if everybody just fell out of contact with him or what, or if he passed away or what. But they said there's no getting them now. But at one time, guys were able to request their matches from him, and he would dub them off on a tape and give them to them. And that's why you see some of these full matches, but not the whole card, is because that's somebody got it and stuck it on YouTube or something. And of course, back in the day, they had in the 80s, they had the arena shows where, like, Jackson, Tennessee and whatnot would show the matches from the Coliseum. That we had one in Tupelo that showed the Coliseum matches. So a lot of those 85, 6, and 7 matches are out there, and they're almost in their entirety.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Nothing in this USWA era. All right, so here we are. Is the last question we always ask. Are you buying a ticket to see this week's show?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Me too.
I have to see what happens at the end of Tennessee versus Texas. Like, I have this fear, as a fan of Jackie's a little older, and Terry Funk is an absolute madman. What's going to happen? He's already threatened to stomp him in the chest till he had a heart attack. So
he said it would be wonderful.
I might get to see that live. You never know.
Jackie Fargo out cheer on everything. He said something about oink oink like a pig too. Terry Funk did. I think I just love that promo because he couldn't remember Tojo's name. But yeah, I'm going. I got to get my mama. Y'all know I love my mama, so my mama's going to take me to Memphis. And it's only $4. So $4 we're getting in general admission. So hell yeah, I'm going.
$4 you're parking for free. Why wouldn't you?
I mean, my mom's got to take me. It's a Monday night though. Mama always worked Mama was a school lunch lady, so you don't know. I may not been able to talk her into it. So,
well, for all my searching around online through a couple of different dirt sheets, there's no record of the attendance on the show. Unfortunately, March the 18th, 1991, at the Youth Building in Memphis. Opening match sees Night Train Jackson defeat Johnny Rotten. Once again, JC Ice defeats Uptown Bruno. New Kid Brian Christopher pins Keith Roberson. The Texas Hangmen, Killer and Psycho defeat Billy Joe Travis and Curtis Thompson, the U.S. male. El Grande Pistolero defeats Nightmare Danny Davis. Stunning Steve Austin defeats Superstar Bill Dundee. And in the main event, which got changed at the last moment into a 5-on-4 handicap match because Terry Funk no-showed. So it would be Eric Embry, Tom Prichard, Tojo Yamamoto, and both members of the Texas Hangmen losing to the team of Jerry Lawler, Jeff Jarrett, Eddie Gilbert, and the fabulous Jackie Fargo. No insight on how that went down. I'm sure we'll probably get a clip on next week's show to at least kind of figure out what the finish was. But man, even if I only paid $4, I'd have been pretty bummed out. I get there and Terry Funk's not there, but it is what it is. It's pretty strong. And they maybe they just did this because of the Terry Funk no show, but that's pretty strong for the 4 guys to beat the 5 guys here in the big Tennessee Texas feud. So we'll have to see what they do next week to try to keep the fire going and keep the heat on this thing. But from what we've seen so far, I have full confidence that we can make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to play out, and it'll always be okay, But it was really bummed me out that because I didn't remember. What would happen. I thought that we didn't see Terry Funk after the title match, so I was surprised whenever I saw the promo this week. But yeah, that really bums me out that he no-showed. But that seemed to be
his horse was sick.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's stories like that. It seemed like maybe around this time period, at least, that he may or may not show up sometimes.
I mean, Austin Idol gets labeled as Mr. No-Show, and he's famous for it. But Terry Funk had more than his share, but he never really got labeled with. I guess he showed up for more than he didn't show up for, unlike Idol. So I guess that's why that stigma never really stuck to him. But I had forgotten that too.
The only thing I saw different than that main event was that it was only one of the Hangmen. It was 4 against 4. Is the result I got.
And maybe that's the case. I don't know. The one I got showed it as a 5-on-4, and I guess they did it to kind of make up for it. But I don't know. Maybe what you saw was right. Maybe it was just one of them. I don't think the fans really gave a fuck how many Texas Hangmen were in there if Terry Funk wasn't there, as long as the good guys won.
Right.
Anyway, that's going to be it for this week. So before we go, let's hear, BT, what you got going on with stspod.club this week.
Every day we do Shiznit Minute on go to stspod.club and check it out. One of the feeds it's going to be on there. It's about the current wrestling scene is what we talk about every day for one whole minute. Episode 986 was June 1991 Cassette Wrestling News this past week. Some good stuff. Like I said, Osborne puts over Doug Gilbert on it. And speaking of Cassette Wrestling News, episode 866, titled Brian Tramel is a fat piece of shit, has been getting tons of listens, and it can only be because Josh and me and you put it over right here on this podcast. So I wanted to thank everybody. This past weekend, I did episode 987, Rolling into Memphis, which was episode 240 of their TV show. And when you get this podcast, the second episode of my music podcast, Hit Me With Your First Shot, with Scotty Wentz, and we both will be talking about Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood. It'll already hit all podcast catchers by the time you get this episode.
All right. Sounds good, man. We'll be checking that out. And it was the triumphant return after a 1 week absence this week of P3 Radio. What do we have in store for P3 Radio if folks haven't listened to it already?
Well, I gave it 4 out of 5 hoots. Really good episode. Remember, they don't ever put the videos in the description. Tell Richard all you got to do is copy and paste. God, they talked about church songs for money. They talked about Mint Mobile, and Richard really likes Ryan Reynolds. That's the reason he was with Mint Mobile. Pluto TV is the best. He put over Pluto TV in a supermarket sweep. Both guys hate lesbians that look like lesbians. Richard blames everything. Everything that went wrong growing up was because he was poor, and Josh said he was brand oppressed. They also revealed the reason they didn't have an episode last week, and God, I hate to do it, but it was I hate to be the spoiler, but it was anal stabbing from Manscaped. So that's what messed up the streak. By the way, depression does suck. You got to get the right cocktail, guys. They talked about just a little bit about catfishing your own daughter, a shitting OD, pickle Pepsi, bomb threatened on the power company, power company. Should be show out instead of show ass. For some reason, when Josh tries to make a joke about something, Richard tries to correct him. We had some guy showing up at a festival throwing a picnic table or trying to pick up a picnic table. And the last thing is a teaching assistant was arrested for using fart spray. Y'all got to listen to that one. And the pickle Pepsi story is very, very funny. So, and the bomb threat. God, you can, like you said, Josh, you can do everything, but you can't say I'm gonna blow it up if you don't get my shit straight. So,
was Richard not like trying to protect this motherfucker and like make excuses? That's literally what he was doing. He was like, well, maybe he was just, projecting his anger. Motherfucker, he went online and he said, I'm going to blow this motherfucker up. Whether you were oppressed as a kid or you don't have an outlet for your anger or whatever, you got to have sense enough to know you can't go on there, online, anywhere, and say you're going to blow up anything and there's no repercussions.
Well, I I hate to admit this, but one time when somebody fired me and was trying to hold my check, I called on their answer machine and threatened to blow the place up. But this was before 9/11. I was really mad because I blame it just like Richard. I was real poor, so that was the reason why.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you were just talking about the bathroom, right?
You can't.
That would be my defense. If anybody ever tried to arrest me for that, that would be my defense.
Yeah, you couldn't. You can't show your ass online anymore like that. They will put you in jail. So, and in jail for fart spray. You can go to jail for fart spray.
The thing about that is I think that was an elongated type deal where he was doing it over and over and over, and they got the techs out looking for the problem, spending all that money, and then they finally catch him in the act. But if it was 50 grand in repairs right there, one bill, then you go with a different company, man.
Well, what's happened probably is that it's just stuck. That smell's just stuck in that air conditioner now. It's like super coated in it. So every time they turn it on, you smell fart spray. I don't know why I'm laughing. If I worked there, I'd be pissy about it. But since I don't work there, then I find it hilarious. So.
Well, there you go. That's what all you can find this week on P3 Radio. Make sure you check it out. You can check it out here at youtube.com/@retro wrestling archive. You can find almost all the episodes of P3 Radio. For some reason, a bunch of things, YouTube switched a bunch of things to private from public, and I've just now discovered that a couple of days ago. I'm having to manually go through and change them from private back to public, and there's like 400 goddamn episodes of P3 Radio, and I think I've gotten like 150 of them back right. So keep an eye out. A lot more episodes will be popping up as I have time to just sit and push buttons to get them back going. That was the case on some of my other podcasts as well. So we're getting that corrected. But if you want to check out P3 Radio, if you want to check out the video version of this show, if you want to check out my other podcast, if you want to check out content from stspod.club that we're posting every week, you can do so right there at youtube.com/@retro wrestling archive. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. Be one of our currently it's about 10,200 subscribers we got over there, and you can check out the over 3,700 videos that's available over there. By God, there's going to be something there you like. You might not like all of them, you might not like half of them, but there's going to be something for everybody over there at the Retro Wrestling Archive. Check it out. Also, check out USWAPodcast.com for everything related to this show, including merch and past episodes, all the social media. It's all right there at USWAPodcast.com. Also, check out DougGilbertPodcast.com for Dangerous Conversations with Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich. We're currently in between seasons right now, but we'll be back in a few weeks with season 3 of Dangerous Conversations. You can continue to send in your questions for the guys over at DougGilbertPodcast@Outlook.com. And also, I want to mention, check out EPW Wrestling, EPWWrestlingMS.com on this past week's episode, and as well as the episode coming up this current week. You will see me not only doing backstage interviews, but me and Jax Rocks are doing the play-by-play and commentary on the show. EPW Wrestling is the biggest independent show in the Southeast right now. If you look at their TV coverage, there's nobody that even comes close to the TV coverage they have right now. And they put on a really good product and got a lot of really great young talent working there. So be sure to check it out if you hadn't already. EPWWrestlingMS.com. Guys, anything else before we take it home?
That's it for me. Love my mama.
I'm good, Gene.
All right. Thanks, guys. Let's, what do you say we do it again next week?
Sound like a plan.
All right, folks. Thanks. We'll see you here next week for another episode of the Retro Wrestling Review USWA Podcast.